Good afternoon, everyone. Chris Berryman here. How are you guys doing today on Terrific Tuesday? This is my great co-host today. Sandy won't be here today. She's got some things that she got to take care of. So me and Carla is holding down the fort today for sharing care with Sandy. And just thank you all for joining us together here on Bringing Humanity Together live stream. This is one of three of the open forums under the Bringing Humanity Together umbrella where people can discuss topics related to the workplace and humanity in the workplace in a positive and constructive way. We want to know what the issues are facing both the employees and even the employers, because our goal is to both work with employers and employees to bring humanity back to the workforce. And as always, we'll be going live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, all at 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Feel free to invite your friends, coworkers, colleagues, dogs, cats, who name it. We'll take them all and everything like that. So me and Carla is going to be hosting today for sharing care with Sandy. So as you jump on LinkedIn or on YouTube, feel free to comment and chat in the chat and tell us where you're jumping on from. And if you're watching this on the replay on both either LinkedIn Live or on YouTube, be sure to use the hashtag replay and tell us where you're watching from. And just to let you guys know that we can still have up to 10 people to join the live stream. So if you'd like to join, the live link to join will be in the LinkedIn Live here shortly. And feel free to comment in the chat whenever you like. And if you have questions, suggestions, or comments, please feel free and everything like that. So, Carla, how are you doing today?
Hey, Chris, doing great. Thanks. Great to be here.
All righty. So, what it would be the great topic for today? I know you were thinking about this, and I was thinking about it. So, what was the thing that we really wanted to bring to the table today?
We were talking about is there humanity in social media?
Oh, that is nice. Is there humanity in social media? That is awesome. And I really love this topic because I truly have seen people in social media not really use their humanity in a great, I won't say dignified way, but a great human way to really connect with people because, they just have either their own models of the world or whatever the case may be, and sometimes not the way to go. So when you look at social media today, Carla, what does humanity look like to you, especially now on social media?
Oh, I could go a lot of different directions with this, but one of the things that comes to mind is a lot of people telling me that they have such negativity on their social media feeds, and I believe that you have it, like people being negative about their health too. I believe that people can control that, and it's a matter of who you allow in your circle, who's in your tribe, and what kind of information you let onto your page or allow people to share with you. Facebook and Instagram, people scroll through that, and some people might make some comments. I personally don't see a whole lot of negativity on my feeds, but I've heard horror stories of other people that have had that. And a lot of people say, oh well, they're related to me, or I work with them, or whatever. It's like, but if you're not going to invite them over for dinner, do you really have to have an obligation to have them in your social media feed?
Okay.
And tolerate that? Yes, everyone has their own opinion. They're like noses, everybody has one. And and we can listen to other people's opinion to some extent, but I think that a lot of people feel like because it's social media, they're not face to face with people. They're behind a keyboard. They're behind their cell phone. That they think that they have a right to just say whatever they want and use whatever language they want to. And, it's like a television program. If I don't like a television program, I change the channels or I turn it off. If I want to not tolerate the F-bomb, every other word or anything like that, I choose whether I want to have them in my social media feed or not, And I think we have the right to do that. I think we all have a responsibility to treat each other respectfully, yet be adult and be able to get our opinions heard.
Correct.
Like, I'll listen to anybody's opinion. I'm not going to argue with them. Some things aren't worth arguing with. That's where the term agree to disagree comes into play. But I have control over who I surround myself with, whether it be in friendships, face to face, or whether it be on social media.
Right. And Gary from India said he believes that there's no humanity in social media. So Gary, we would love for you to join us on the live stream. We want you to expound on that, and we would love to hear from you as well. Well, for me though, Carla, I'm right there with you that we need to keep the conversation respectful, agree to disagree, share our opinions to such an extent, and not put our reality on someone else's reality, thinking that that's their reality when in fact it's not. It's our model of the world through our eyes, not their eyes. And once we respect people's position and view for whatever environment it is, or whatever topic it is, or whatever that might be for them, it's like what Brian has said to me for many, many, many months now. When you get into a conversation with somebody, you want to have the conversation with them, but not for them. Because if you have the conversation for them, you're kind of like putting your own view and spin on what they're saying and doing, when in fact that's your interpretation of what they're relaying to you. If you ask open-ended questions and everything, that's how you can get things to move forward. Because if you do it as a closed-ended question, you're not going to get the kind of information that you desire or end output or outcome that you're looking for.
Right. Asking good questions leads to good conversation.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, there's so many different platforms. I mean, there's Facebook, and there's Instagram, and even there's LinkedIn too. I think that of the three, LinkedIn is probably a lot more professional. I hate the fact that LinkedIn is actually, there are people on there that treat LinkedIn like a dating site. It drives me crazy. I've never had any off the wall conversations with anybody on LinkedIn.
Right.
I've seen them on Facebook. I don't see them a whole lot on Instagram, and I haven't been in Clubhouse yet. So.
Oh, that I've been hearing a lot.
I hear that's a whole nother animal.
Yes, that is a whole different animal. Because again, you were just alluding to about hiding behind your phone or desktop and stuff like that. See, the one thing about Clubhouse, it's only driven by audio. So you don't see the other person on the other side of the equation.
It's like having a phone call with several people.
Right. So you don't get the body language. I mean, you can probably hear some things to pick it up and that kind of thing, but you really
don't get any facial expressions or anything like that. Yeah.
Right.
So about usually how many people are there in a room like with Clubhouse?
It varies. There is one time that a friend of mine told me on Clubhouse that there was close to up over 150 people at one point in a room. And Gary, I can understand that you have a bad connection. We would love to keep this conversation going with you. Totally understand that you had the bad weather and everything like that. But thank you for uh, saying that this is an awesome topic. Thank you so much. And like I said, we'll definitely reach out to you, Gary, and everything. Uh, but yeah, up to 150 people just on Clubhouse alone in a room. And I know there's some other social media places that you can actually go up into the thousands. Like I know on Zoom, you can do up to 1,000 people. What is it? I think Google Enterprise, you can do up to close to. Last time I heard it was like close to eight. Okay, Google, stop. Google was Google Google was getting ready to call Enterprise Rent a Car.
That's funny.
Yes, and yes, we're on live on LinkedIn as we are. So yes, we are.
Trying to supervise it on my phone, and it wasn't. You're not very discreet, okay? I was trying to be discreet and sending you a message because I was trying to pull it up on my phone to try and help monitor, but yeah, I'm not.
Well, yeah, there's only a little bit of a delay on LinkedIn. That's the only bad part with LinkedIn. There's always a little, yeah, and that's the nature of social media too. Because when you think that you're talking to somebody live and in person, there might be that delay. So when you talk to somebody,
oh yeah,
you're going to end up having that kind of lost in translation kind of thing because there's that little gap. And like, hey, I just said this to you and everything, but did you catch that? No, I did not. Yeah. You got to play the waiting game.
So when you go into Clubhouse and you start a room, is it started under your whatever your account name is?
You can do it either one or two ways. You could do it under, well, actually, three ways. You can do it under your own profile, or if you're get invited to a group, you can start it under the group profile, or you can just have a closed room and you do it from a closed room dynamic. Now, they have it broken up to where
it's a closed room, like invitation only.
Correct.
Oh, got
correct. But also, what you can also do is there's one that's called a social media room, to where it's anybody recognizes the little social media icon, people just can go right in there and you're basically opening the room for a social construct.
And you're just listening to whatever conversation's going on at the moment.
Well, see, the one thing about Clubhouse, you have to raise your hand to get called up to speak. So you can actually listen, or you can speak and listen at the same time. It depends which way you want to go.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, but my friend told me that there's a couple of instances that where he was on Clubhouse and the other people who in the room had a different total model of their version of the world compared to him. In fact, one time in this one room, he was actually in this room about reciprocity. You know, they were asking, ask one thing, give one thing, that kind of thing. And the guy was asking, these are the only two things that I want to be able to do. And he said, blah, blah, blah. And then he said, this is the other thing I'd like to do, blah, blah, blah. But before he ended up saying that, the person who was actually hosting the room and everything like that said to him, well, you have to propose or say what you're wanting to do succinctly, this, that, and the other, blah, blah. It's basically framing the whole thing of what you needed to say to begin with before the guy even speaks. And I'm thinking to myself, no, that's not kind of like what I would do, but you do you, I guess. But then when he, like I said, when he ended up saying the two things that he wants to be able to do as far as a reciprocity kind of thing and put that out there, There was like, well, do you have something to offer or this, that, and the other, blah, blah. And he's like, no, all I want to do is, number one, I want to connect with you on an individual level. And then also I want to get engaged with you on this topic that really is passion, mission driven to me. And this is what my purpose and calling is. And those are the only two things that I'm asking for. And probably the thing that's coming to the reciprocity side of it, that's probably will be done for later. So you don't want to end up giving something where someone's not want to give back. And that's what he was thinking about doing. And but yet, one of the moderators in that room, Carla, ended up didn't like what he was hearing and not really understanding what the guy was really wanting to do and could truly connect. He's like, well, this is what you get when you make me a moderator. So he literally kicked the guy out of the room on Clubhouse.
Wow.
And he said that and I'm thinking, wow.
That'll make you want to come back?
No.
I'm saying that kiddingly.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. That's kind of an unusual concept, I guess. I guess when I grew up, my mother said, don't get into conversations you haven't been invited to.
Right.
So, but going into a social room just to hear what people are talking about is kind of like eavesdropping,
But see, the thing about it is with Clubhouse, if you get your hand raised and you've been called to speak, at least it should allow you to speak. Now, if they were saying something derogatory about something or really using cuss words, in fact, there was another room that he was in, and it was really, again, another model view of their world and their world only. He was kind of going back and forth with them, but then one of the people in the group was saying, "You MF whatever." And when he told me that, I was, and what did you say to that? And he's like, why are you using these kind of curse words? And this is what Gary said. You won't believe the socialized on Zoom for playing Halsey and family members all across the globe, across the USA and UK joined in a game. It was real fun this last year when the pandemic started. Yeah, I know they probably have used Zoom for games and stuff and purposes, Gary. That's a good thing probably to use.
I've never heard of that game.
I never heard of it either.
No. I've had social hours with other, like, some friends of ours in Delaware. And, my husband and I are sitting there next to the laptop, and they're sitting on their couch with a laptop, and we're chit-chatting and catching up like we're sitting in their living room having drinks together,
Well, if I remember right, I think even Sandy has had many Skype calls with her grandkids.
Oh, yeah. She does Skype all the time, every week with her kids. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've seen, we've done workouts on Zoom.
Yes.
Yeah. Tony Roberts just had a huge presentation last week. I don't know how many people were on that, but Eric Worre's wife did one Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and they had 150. Well, they have their own server too.
Yeah.
They had 150,000 people.
Oh my word.
Yeah, and they had one of these digital studios. Yeah, it was really crazy. And they had breakout rooms, and I mean, you literally were broken out and you got to talk to people, and it was fun. To me, that's constructive use of social media and the platforms that we have now. Thank God for we had them with COVID. That we could resort to that. But yeah, I know there were a lot of people that are still to this day very negative about politics and everything else. And well, like there's a Facebook group I'm in. It's on people talking about remodeling and stuff.
Right.
And they'll go, well, I repainted my kitchen cabinets dark green. What do you think? And I may not care for it, Or, but I'm not going to turn around and blast them going, well, you went too dark on those. And why did you use those kind of handles? And some people are quite nasty about it.
I know. I know.
And I'm sure life is much more vicious than that on social media, but it's like, will what I have to say add anything of value to them? No.
Right.
They'll say, well, should I do this? Is it outdated or not? And I go, look, you do you. Do whatever you want to do, and don't worry about what anybody else wants to do.
And this is what Gary just said that added on to what he was talking about. And the ones who had a task which included dancing and singing. So I guess you can dance and sing on Zoom. So
what's the name of the game, Gary?
Halsey, Housie. Yeah.
I'll look this one up. Keep talking, Chris.
So yeah, but especially been done in the United States and the UK. But yeah, it was actually on Zoom playing Halsey. Never heard of that.
I haven't either.
Yeah, I haven't either. So
we'll look it up. Okay.
I would ask it.
Oh, okay. Tambola, also known as Tambola, Indian Bingo, and Halsey, is a popular game that is believed to be originated in Italy in the early 1500s. I lived in Italy and I never heard of it. It's played with numbers 1 to 90 being called out one at a time, and players striking out their numbers on their tickets. It contains 27 spaces arranged in 9 columns by 3 rows. Huh.
And you lived in Italy and you never heard that?
Oh no, never heard of it.
So there you go. You learned something new today.
Yeah. So at least that's what Google says.
Well, we asked Google, hey.
But that's what Google says.
Yeah.
What did we ever do before Google?
We looked it up
in the encyclopedia.
Or
a card catalog. In the library.
The Dewey Decimal System. I remember them days.
I guess they still have them, the decimal system. They just have it digitalized now.
I think they kind of do, but you got to remember, there's still got to be print media out there.
Yeah.
There still have to be that. Yeah, Gary, we Googled it. We did.
Were we right?
That's what I don't know if I don't know how much of a delay it is between here and India, but
I want to know Google didn't say anything about singing and dancing, so I got to see how the singing and dancing gets in there.
Yeah. So he said that we're right.
Oh, okay. Well, how does the singing and dancing get into that, Gary? Dang, I wish you were on here live. Come on.
But yeah. And also too, the more I think about it, where's the decorum on social media? Where's the civility on social media today? And that ties right into our humanity, because if we can't be respectful, at least have that civil discussion about whatever topic it is. And like I said, we can agree to disagree, but a lot of people. So look, I got to put it to you this way, Carla, and I got to ask you in a question. It's like my friend last night had a topic on Clubhouse. In fact, was
he a facilitator?
He was a facilitator. In fact, he was. He was asking, can we bring humanity into business and beyond it? Is what he was asking about. And one of the people that was actually in the room, what he ended up saying was 2 different bullet point type topics. And I'm not going to say to him what they were, but he was basically Okay. Oh, now Gary just asked this question. I gotta hold my thought for a second and get what Gary says.
Okay.
What is your view on IT lobby and these politicians are funding? That's why we added singing. Okay, okay. So now when it comes to politicians and the IT lobby, Gary, I don't have no knowledge into
I know
that.
nothing about that.
I don't either. We see here bringing humanity together. We don't bring politics into what we talk about, um, because we're all about bringing humanity together, bringing humanity into business. So we don't really leave a lot of the politicking in. This kind of ties into what we're talking about, anyways, because it
Yeah.
is diametrically into the humanity realm. But like I said, we're not about politics or social justice or anything like that. We're just basically wanting to unite humanity and force their.
If we treat people with humanity, you don't have to worry about it. When you treat each person as an individual with respect and kindness, you don't need to have to worry about uh, right or wrong or left or right or anything like that. Just do what's right. I don't discuss politics with a whole lot of people. I don't even think you and I've ever discussed a whole lot of politics, but that shouldn't be part of the equation. I don't care what color you are. I don't care where you come from. I'm going to treat you with the same kindness and respect that I would treat anybody else around me. There's one human race in this world, and it's the human race. There's one race.
Absolutely, absolutely. But what makes
We were
humanity?
all created by a God, a higher power, whatever you want to call it. There's somebody a hell of a lot smarter than me that put everything on this earth long before I got here and actually got those cells together. I worked for infertility for 20 years, and it just always marveled me the concept of creation, that a human being like you and I go from 2 cells to millions of cells to where we are today.
Yeah,
And they all have to go together in the proper order for us to be considered chromosomally normal.
well,
And that's just, you just don't get instructions for that. It's just the way that we are. And then to me, my God put everything on this earth,
well,
uh, I'm going to treat everybody kindly. We're all made in the image of God, or whatever our God or higher power is.
right. Now, Gary asked another question, and Gary, thank you for chiming in and everything like that. But like I said, we're not really wanting to discuss, like I said, social issues here, because we can have that discussion on another platform or on another conversation. Because, like I said, we're not getting into about who's misleading who or who's doing what or whatever.
When we talk about humanity, we're not talking about humans' rights. We're not talking about reparations, about what happened hundreds of years ago before I even appeared on the face of this earth. We're not talking about that. We're talking about treating each other with kindness and compassion and getting to know one another. And if you can't treat somebody with kindness and compassion and treat yourself the way that you would want to be treated, you must have a very low concept of yourself if you would treat your own self the same way.
Right. But see, that's where I love the golden rule as we were taught as kids. And I truly believe that it should be that kind of mindset, not only shift, but that mindset that we should still instill in us today and use. That could be done not only in our education system, but also it could be done in our businesses. It could be done on social media, but we don't use the golden rule. It really is not prevalent like it should. Even Synovus Financial, who's a big financial firm here in the United States, and you may have seen this in the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership when John C. Maxwell mentions this. They have it in their mission statement the golden rule. That's part of their mission statement there, Synovus Financial. Uh, because if you treat people with honesty and integrity and respect and just be you who you are and just be human, you can get further along into the conversation. And I wish Brian was here on this. He would
Yeah.
love this topic. Yeah, Brian would just go just like anywhere. Hey, Brian Sumner, where you at? We need you. In
Where are
fact,
you, buddy?
yeah, right. So I'm gonna tag him right now. Brian Summer, need your input on this topic because he's got a very unique view of the world, and see, he don't let his biases and his um, other baggage, so to speak, come into play to really dictate um, the conversation of how he connects with people, or even if it's in an environment, in a workplace environment. And I've learned that so well from him because, again, and Brian, if you're watching this on the replay, we want you to talk about the models of the world. I think that's going to be a great topic that we need to talk about too, as well, because our models of the world are uniquely different to each and every single person on this planet. And so, yeah, I think he would go with this like
Oh,
anything.
he would ignite.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, he'd be on fire with us.
yes, he would. Yes, he would, and I'm sure Sandy would too as well. But like I said, just just be human for once, especially in a social media construct, that whether it be Facebook or Instagram or oh
Well, if you wouldn't say it to their face in
yeah,
front of them, don't say it
right.
on other platforms.
What see, this is also what comes into mind too as well. Didn't you mention something to me that you got some kind of notification on LinkedIn that someone was trying to connect with you, and it just really threw you off about something? I think it was like they were asking for a date or something like that.
Oh, I have people hitting on me all the time. It's like, please, no. And that's not to make myself feel good, but I mean, I'm sorry, you can smell it coming, you know? I get, hey, how will I get on social media too? And it's like, look, I'm 62, I'm old enough to be your mother, and I'm happily married. And
Yeah.
it's usually, how are you married? Where do you live? Do you have any kids? And so sometimes when I can smell it coming, I'd say, hey, it's nice to meet you. Yes, I'm 62 years old. Yes, I've been happily married for the second time for over 15 years now, and that's not going to change. And my kids are probably older than you.
Oh,
I
Jay.
just don't have time for that, you know?
And
And then it's, oh, well, I want a deep and meaningful relationship with you, and let's see where this is going to go. And it's like, it's not going anywhere, you know? So I block them, or I just unconnect.
and I'm sure there are a lot of horror stories out there when it comes to the social media component, and we've touched on a few of them.
I've never been cussed out.
I have.
Yeah, I haven't. No.
I have. Um, I've even had a friend of mine tell me that there was somebody who literally, in fact,
The friend is telling you the story, or they cussed you out? I was going to say,
no, the
if they
friend was
cussed
telling
you
me a
out, they're
story
not.
about this. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
telling me a story about this. On one of the conversations that he had on Clubhouse, it was one of the ones that he actually got booted out for.
Yeah.
But he was having a
By
conversation.
the
Yeah.
powerful moderator.
But this is what one of the people was talking. On one of the discussions they were talking about, they were saying, "Well, what you're saying comes from a certain point of view, and it had to revolve around politics. But what was so interesting, they first prefaced that before saying that by saying, I know what I know far more than you do, to my friend.
Ooh.
Oh, but get this. This is the kicker.
Power statement.
Yeah,
Love it.
but watch this. They said that they worked in the intelligence community and they know more than what they knew in the conversation. And I'm thinking to myself, if you're in the intelligence community
You
and
have
you're
no
looking,
business talking about it.
you don't need to be having. Don't even say that you even working in the intelligence community. You don't
Yeah.
even go say that. And I'm like, I'm sorry. You just that. And again, that goes back to showing that people have a bigger model of the world, of not only of themselves but of who they are. They want to pound that chest and make them feel like
Yeah.
they're big and
Yeah.
bold. And no, I don't. I don't get into that. I don't. I
We all
really
put our
don't.
pants on one leg at a time.
Oh, we
And
do.
our coffins are always the same size.
We do. Absolutely. And but see, I don't understand why we have that big disconnect.
It's
Also,
insecurity. So why do people do the power thing? It's insecurity. They're so insecure they need that to be a step above everybody else.
where do you think that probably started from, in your estimation? I mean, I know you probably not know the answer, but what from what you've seen on social media, where do you think that probably started from?
Where what started from?
The insecurity factor.
Oh, I think it started long before social media. This is just another outlet for them to be able to play that game.
Okay,
I mean, there was always the big bully in the neighborhood, you
that's
know.
true.
So this is just another outlet for them to do that. Yeah, I was talking to somebody recently, and they was telling me about the bullying that goes on social media, and I was just like floored, just because I don't see it. You know, I'm yeah, I have, and it's not about numbers of followings and likes and anything like that for me, but I don't have that type of people that I surround myself with.
Right, right.
So I don't see a lot of that. But I wouldn't go back and be a teenager these days. They
Well,
are vicious to each other.
if I knew then what I know now, I would have a totally different perspective on. But
Yeah.
see, I can't play that game anyway. I can't play the woulda, coulda, shoulda game. But I will say this, and Brian has touched on it before. What we have done on social media has really, and he was alluding to when it comes to people in the workplace. So let's say if someone gets shafted at a job, or they get fired, or say there's a toxic work environment, and they take it to social media, then
Yeah.
if they're the only one on social media speaking to that, where's the rest of the people in the organization saying the very exact same thing? Where are they? Or they are either too afraid to speak out, which it could be a valid thing, that could be a reality for them. Can there be an actual way to where if they do put it out there, then will they get fired for it, for putting it out there? Because again, a lot of brands out there have to maintain their brand
Right.
integrity, which to an extent I can understand and get. But what you do on your own time shouldn't really reflect of what the brand that you work at reflects, that because there is that freedom of speech, and that's ingrained into our Constitution fundamentally.
Well,
But
just because it's in the Constitution doesn't mean that you have to say it. You know, I don't understand where, like, Indeed. Well, I haven't been on there in quite a while, but at one point in time, if I was looking for, say, a healthcare practice to work at, and I would look at their company information, there would be a place for people to comment that had worked in that organization. And there were some positive comments and there were negative comments. Why would any company actually allow that to happen? Because it ruins their brand. All it takes is one negative person. Just like in healthcare, if it's so competitive, all it takes is one negative client that can drag.
Well, and I'm glad you mentioned that dynamic, because this is what I found out to be true, and this is what I've seen for many, many years. One bad experience or one bad review, the natural law of dynamics will dictate for every one negative, you have to have at least 100 positives that outweigh that one negative.
Yeah.
And I truly believe, Carla, we are so geared into the negativity, we feed into it automatically versus the positive side of things. So if we was to go out and say, Bringing Humanity Together did this great consultation for us, this is what you need to do with Bringing Humanity Together, and whatever else that you want to do as far as a recommendation, whatever. If you was to put that out there, people overlook that. But when they say a negative, let's say Bringing Humanity Together didn't do such and such, it would go explode like wildfire, and it would go everywhere.
Well, it's just like when you go looking up services that you want to have your lawn done or something, and they put testimonials on there, or people will, they don't necessarily solicit it for their website, but they it's like Google Maps and you look up somebody or a restaurant or whatever. We tend to look at the negatives, and then that throws doubt into, well, do we really want to use them? Do we really want to eat with them? Do we, do we really want to fly with them? People get kind of doubtful,
And see, I don't believe in that dynamic at all. I really don't. I want to end up help framing the mindset, and maybe it's a way that we can express our humanity in a better way, to where we focused on the positivity, because I truly believe there's power in the positivity and there's power in possibility. And if we can frame it in that kind of direction, to where people can go to the negative rarely, but go to the positive more frequently, I think the scales will be kind of in more of a balance, because and it might be even in our DNA, in our head, that we're geared that way, and you have to intentionally set your mind on track to say, am I going to go for the negative, or am I going for the positive?
Well, positivity is a choice. It's easy to be negative, but positivity is a choice each and every day.
So how do you lead with your positivity, especially when it comes to social media? How do you put that positive step forward when you engage with somebody on social media?
When I'm engaging with people, well, it starts with your own personal development. And to me, that starts with practicing gratitude every day. And thinking about, yeah, it's raining outside, but what 3 things am I grateful for?
Right.
Yeah, maybe I didn't sleep very well last night, but what 3 things am I grateful for right now?
Right.
And starting off with that, and being positive, and bringing value to people, caring about people.
And this is what Gary just said. A decent person will review both the positive and negative, and review and then decide. And that is truly
true. It's true.
That is absolutely true, Gary. Spot on.
And we also have control on how we're going to respond to it. We can agree to disagree. You could talk sometimes till you're blue in the face, and you'll have differing opinions on a particular topic, and that is okay. We're all different.
But see, the thing, Carla, is there's 2 types of response. There's the one that we intentionally and thoughtful in, to listen, reflect, and then respond. And then there's the other response, is to where we just automatically go with whatever it comes to our head, and we already are predetermining that line of thinking because of either.
You're right. Yeah. And then there's actually a third. No response.
Well, that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and no matter what you do, you evaluate the positives and the negatives. But does that give you the right to blow somebody out of the water on social media? No. If you're not going to say it to them to their face, don't say it at all.
Well, I always keep it respectful on any social media dynamic that I'm on, whether it be Facebook, whether it be Instagram or whatever, because it not only does it not make good business sense to do, it just makes good common sense to do.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not going to tarnish my standing and my reputation, my word, who I am, just to make myself feel bigger and better than someone else, because I know that, number one, I'm not.
Yeah.
And number two, I know I'm not the smartest person on this earth. There's just no way. I just know who I am and what I'm about. But a lot of people, like I said, with my friend, especially on those two Clubhouse incidents, he was just like, it makes me want to even think about even,
Going to Clubhouse.
yeah, do I
It's
even
just
want
the
to go
stories
there?
that I've heard. I'm like, I don't know if I want to waste my time doing that.
Well, for me, and what we're building here, bringing humanity together, I'm determined to make it no matter whatever they throw at me or throw at us, because I'll just take it like a duck on water. I'll just let it roll off me like a duck
Yeah.
and say, okay, it is what it is. But see, that's what Brian has taught me so well. You can take what people throw at you, you can understand it, relate to it, but you don't have to buy into it.
Right.
And I think that's another way that we can really move the models of our world, so to speak, if we don't really buy into what people tell us.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like people tell me a lot when I was younger. Oh, I'm not going to amount to anything. I have these learning disabilities. I had a speech impediment. You're never going to amount to anything, Chris. But look where I am today, because I didn't buy into that. Because if I did, where do you think I would be today? I would probably wouldn't be on social media, wouldn't be on LinkedIn, wherever. I just wouldn't be there, because I would have bought all that in, and probably wouldn't have met you, wouldn't have met Sandy, wouldn't have met Brian. I wouldn't have any of those opportunities. But like I said, it's a mindset shift in a state of being when you are intentional that you're going to say, hey, I stand for this. I will do this on social media, and this is how I approach people this way every day in every way.
There are a lot of people that have still bought into what they were told as a child. Still haven't gotten past that.
It's taken me a lot of years to get past a lot of that, and I mean, and we always have the struggle. The struggle is always with us. It never completely goes away, especially if you have, especially when it comes to now the prevalence of social media, the constant people that they see on social media now, that where you get the bullying, you get the other things that goes out there right now. That I mean, I can just name tons of other stuff that goes out there on social media that's really in a negative dynamic, but that's going to be for another total different conversation. But again, it gets me back to what we're talking about. Where's the humanity in social media? Why do we do what we do to people who either are in our same communities, or living in the same country as we are, or maybe even living halfway across the world? But to me, and this is what I've learned from Brian too as well, we're already connected to one another. We're all one human family. We're all one human race. Then why do we not only degrade our state of being and degrade our name and degrade who we are just to look good on social media, even though it's not really being perceived that way from other people? Because if common sense was commonplace, it would be common.
They have a captive audience. They have, they think that they've been given the right to be able to do that. Hey, it's a free country. I can say anything that I want, you know. And they needed to make themselves feel bigger.
But then in that very same context, though, Carla, you may have the freedom to say what you want to say, but also you have a responsibility in how you say it.
Well, absolutely. It goes to the saying that just because you can doesn't mean you yell fire in a crowded theater. You know,
Right.
just because you can say anything you want doesn't mean that you can get on social media and rip somebody up one side and down the other. You just don't do that.
And see, that's where the dynamic that I know we'll be focusing on here, bringing humanity together, is if this was you, what would you do? How would you approach it if you were that very said person? It's like I've told people every day. When you look at it from the lens of someone else's perspective, and you say to yourself, if this was me and I'm a person of either leadership or I'm in a position of management, and let's just take a hypothetical here. Uh, they see on social media someone's bashing their own company on social media, and they were that in that position of leadership or management, and they were just undercutting the business left and right.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in that management context and watching this unfold live and in person, this is the way I would approach it. I would engage with them if they ever come back to work, or even if they're on social media at the time and they had access to them, and say, "Hey, look, I understand you have said beef with
A
whatever,
grievance, yeah.
yeah, whatever. Let's take this offline because, for number one, you don't want to air out your dirty laundry from a
No.
business perspective. You just
It's
don't
just like
do
people. It's just like people that get on social media and start airing out their dirty laundry about their relationships with their spouse. It's like, I really don't need to see that. Okay.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
but like you said, from that leadership and perspective,
Yeah. You have to take it offline.
yeah, I think to myself and say, "Hey, what I say carries weight. So if I am undercutting what I stand for, not only as a leader, but more importantly as a human being, should I even have that conversation for undercutting somebody else who did me wrong? And I don't want, and I wouldn't do that. But also, when the shoe is on the other foot, and let's say I was the employee into the mix, or even let's say even a customer, I think there's always a good avenue to do that, to where you can still get your point across, but yet do it in a very powerful and constructive way
Mm-hmm.
that keeps it civil, keeps it honest, keep it with integrity, because you don't want to just go off, start mouthing off at the deep end and start, every other word like something you would hear from a sailor.
Yeah.
You just don't want
Cussing
to
like
do
a
that.
sailor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think if I were in a level of leadership with it, or even if I saw it and let's just say I was working with somebody that was bad mouthing the company that I was working with. Number one, I don't think it's right. There's a time and a place, and that's not a constructive place. That's like dropping a bomb.
Yeah.
I would personally go to leadership, and if they hadn't seen it, inform them of it, because I think that it's the right thing to do.
Oh, I agree.
And if I were in leadership, I would approach that person and said, hey, I saw you wrote XYZ on social media. I think we need to have a talk and talk about what you're so upset about and see what we can do to make it right. And a lot of times you're going to find that person has absolutely nothing to say. They're speechless.
And that's the thing. And I think I don't want to call it the imposter syndrome. I want to call it the Jekyll and Hyde syndrome, because you basically are having that duality dynamic in play. You be one thing at work, but when you're hiding behind the face of social media, you're completely different. Now, which one is the real you? That's the question you have to ask. So, if there's a call to action today, Carla, of how can we bring humanity to social media, what would it be and look like to you when it comes to a call to action?
My call to action would be to take a hard look at yourself and how you're presenting yourself on social media and how you're relating to other people. And is it something that you'd be proud of? Is
Would you
it the
put your
right thing
name on it?
Hmm?
Would you put your name on it?
Yeah, would you put your name on it? If you were on Clubhouse and you were ripping someone up one side and down the other or whatever, would you put your name on it? Would you claim it? Would you be proud of it?
I feel the same way. Because everything I do and everything that I stand for and work for and passion driven by, in one way, shape, or form, does have my name on it. Whatever I touch and do, it has Chris Berryman's name on that. So I had to, like you said, would you put your name on it? Would you be honored to looking back on it and say, hey, I said the right thing here and I did the right thing because, see, I did what is right, not what is easy. Because if I did the easy way out, I did it because I was insecure, this, that, and the other. You're absolutely right, Carla. You're spot on.
You can have your opinions about politics or whatever, or anything. There are polarizing topics out there, but it doesn't mean that you have to comment on them every time they come up. Especially like on LinkedIn, especially if you're trying to grow a business. Even if you're on LinkedIn and you see something supporting, maybe whoever you voted for politically, whatever. Think before you even put a like on there or a heart or whatever. It's not a matter of just commenting on it, because people don't realize that let's just say it's a political post and it's pretty controversial, or even if it's just like a joke, a cartoon or something. If you put a like or a heart on that, when people go to look at your profile, they're going to look and see what you're about. They're going to look at your activity. They're going to look at all the things that you liked. If you agree to post that somebody else put up there. If it's controversial, they're going to think that you're controversial. If it's negative, they're going to think that you're negative. And they're going to say, do I want to do business with a person like that? And they're going to think twice about it.
Yes.
So, I mean, you can like or not like, or you can even message that particular person individually and say, hey, I like whatever it is your post. I agree with a lot of them. I don't comment a whole lot because I want to stay neutral in terms of how I appear from a business standpoint. So, I mean, you can have conversations with people like that offline if you want to, but it's not going to go into your activity feed on LinkedIn. So I'm not saying you can't have an opinion and that everything has to be sunshine and roses. There's a lot of crap going on in the world right now. And unfortunately, there's a lot of divisiveness in the world. And I don't want to be a part of it. Does that mean I don't have my opinions? Yeah, I do have my opinions. But am I going to engage somebody in it? No.
Yeah, and I'm so spot on with you on that, Carla. And see, this gets back to what I was just thinking this a second ago. You can't never get back a first impression.
Oh, no. It takes, 10 seconds to make a first impression that lasts a lifetime.
Yeah. Yep, you can never get that back. So, as always, Carla, this is another great and engaging conversation. Great call to action once again. Again, everyone if you see this on a replay, use the hashtag replay. If you want to reach out to me or to Carla or Sandy, uh, we'll put our profiles in today's post. Please reach out to us. We would love to have a great and engaging conversation with you to not only bring humanity together, but to bring humanity into business and even into social media, because we really definitely need that. So, again, as always, Carla, thank you so much for sharing this topic with me today. And let's have that great and engaging conversation tomorrow for Conversations for Humanity.
Looking forward to it.
I am too. All right, everyone, have a great and terrific Tuesday. Make it your day. And remember the mission statement of bringing humanity together, which is, if I help you, you help me, then we help we.
We help we.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Carla. Talk to you soon.
Take care, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye.